Good afternoon. My name is Uma Maheshwari, belong to EC Department, SNS College of Technology. Here we'll discuss about the interrupt controller. The interrupt controller 8259 is nothing but, first of all, what is an interrupt? Here, the interrupt can be broadly classified into hardware and then software interrupts. Here, the hardware interrupts are triggered by external devices, while the software interrupts are generally by the software itself. With the hardware interrupts, there are also categorized into an external one and then an internal one here. Here, this 8259 interrupt controller, it has 5 hardware interrupts, and in this 2 hardware interrupts are 80585 and then 86 this one microcontroller respectively. Here the mask individual bits of an interrupt request register, that has been IRR. It is also called as IRR. What is the use of IRR here? It stores all the interrupt level which are requesting for the interrupt services. Say for example, if there is any task in a process, if you want to say some other important task has been coming inside the microcontroller and you just want to answer that one, so for that purpose you will be just categorize all the interrupts in a sequential manner, that is prioritized manner, not in a sequential, it is in a prioritized manner. Say for example, in this 8051 microcontroller you will be having 5 interrupts in that you'll be having 5 interrupts in that one: trap, pcon, scon, and then timer control, and then serial communication interrupt. So in out of this 5, which one will be your prioritized one, that is the highest priority which goes to your something which has been coming inside, that is serial communication or whatever it may be. Timer control unit will be the most important highest prioritized one. Here the interrupt handling capabilities are up to 64 interrupt level by cascading further 8259. Here in this case, the clock cycle is not required over here. Here we will just see an overview of architecture of 89C51. In this one, what is the difference between 8051 and 89C51? Something like it is in a compactable mode. The data bus buffer will be a bidirectional one to the control logic as well as to the data bus, and here the read, write, and then logic will be gets the input from the read, write, and then CS, that is chip select one. Here the cascade buffer, ISR, prioritize one, and then IRR. IRR I already told, like it stores the interrupt level which are requesting for the interrupt services. The IMR, which is mean that is in the last one of this architecture, that one, and for from this IMR you will be giving the instruction to the ISR and then prioritize one and then IRR. What is there in IMR? Why it is so important? Which has been giving this IMR is giving everything to the ISR and prioritizing one and then IRR. This IMR is nothing but it stores the interrupt level which have to be masked by the bits of the interrupt level. So it has been a very important one over here, and the advantage of this one is like interrupt management. The 8259 PIC is designed to handle interrupts effectively and efficiently, allowing for faster and then more reliable programming of interrupt in a system. Here in this case, the flexibility is there in the case of 8259 microcontroller, meaning that it can also be customized to suit all the specific needs of the given system, which includes the number of type of interrupt that to be managed. Here in the case of multiple interrupt inputs, in the case of 8259 PIC microcontroller, it can manage up to 8 interrupt inputs, allowing for the management of complex system with the multiple devices. It is also easy to use. Here the features of 8259 is the data bus buffer. It is a mediator between 8259 and 8085 microprocessor by acting as a buffer. What is the buffer first of all? Buffer is nothing but like it is a temporary storage one. Here the read write logic is this block works only when the value of the pin, that is CS, that is a chip select, it is low as the pin is active low. This block is responsible for the flow of data depending upon the inputs of read or write. Say for example, R bar W. If this R by W is equal to 0 means it will be in a write mode, and if R by W is equal to 1 means it will be in a read mode. Here the features of the external features of this thing is 8259 is, I told you before, like what is ISR and then IMR and IRR. This interrupt service register is the one which has been, already it is the flow of programming has been done now, like the program has been following in instruction set by set. That time it will be temporary, it will stop the process and it will just answer the what is going on in that interrupt, and then it will just come back to the regular process. From that one you need to save the address into particular thing in a particular manner, that is called as an interrupt service register. In that interrupt service register, one vector table is there. From that vector table you will be pushing the address, and then after your process has been done you will be popping up from that particular address which is going on. Got it? And next one is the interrupt method. We already seen two types, but one is hardware and another one is software. And the hardware has been further divided into maskable and then non-maskable. And this is a simple process of ISR and then IRR, how it has been done. Say for example, I told you like the main program has been going on in a flow. If there is any interrupt comes inside, the input and output device is ready for the data transfer, and the push PC stack is nothing but your ISR, that is interrupt service routine. It has been pushing and it will just perform the what is the process it has been coming inside, that is the interrupt. It will just answer that interrupt, and then again it will just pop from the ISR, that is interrupt service routine, and then get back to the return address. The further features of this 8259 is priority resolver and then cascade buffer. And the classroom activity is follows here. You just find out the missing number in both the thing. Assessment is which one of the following is a hardware invoked, whether interrupt, traps, or both A and B or none of the one. The return address from the interrupt service routine is stored on which one. The signal sent to the device from the processor to the device after receiving an interrupt is which one. An interrupt that can be temporarily ignored is vector or non-maskable, maskable, or high priority is one. We have another 4 assessment question because this is the most important topic in microcontroller. So the time between the receiver of the interrupt and its services, how much time it will take. The interrupts form an important part of which system. A single interrupt line can be used to service in a which different way, whether it is true or false. The statement is the resistor which is attached to the service line is called as pushed out, pull up, breakdown, or line register. Thank you. We'll see the next topic in the next video.